Hey, my name is Mary Philpott, and I will be explaining my 3D ear model and the process of the transmission of sound through the ear. So here goes. Alright, so here's my model, and it's important to note that the ear's main purpose is to collect acoustic energy and convert it to electrochemical energy. And this process begins in the outer ear, most specifically the pinna, which is the most visible part of the ear. And what it does is the grooves and ridges allow for selective enhancement of certain frequencies as the acoustic energy is funneled into the next section of the outer ear, which is the external auditory meatus, and this is also referred to commonly as the ear canal. So the external auditory meatus, or EAM for short, is the energy then travels through that into the tympanic membrane, which is this little green part right here. And the tympanic membrane is also called the eardrum. So as the energy hits the tympanic membrane, it causes it to vibrate. The resulting vibrations are then sent to the ossicle bones, which include the malleus, the incus, and the stapes, and these are all part of the middle ear. Now, the important thing to note is that the vibration of the ossicles transforms the acoustic energy into mechanical energy. So in the middle ear, we now have mechanical energy versus acoustic energy. Now, an important factor to note is the manner in which the middle ear functions to match the impedance of the outer ear to the cochlea. So what that means is that basically sound is magnified in the middle ear. This happens because of the difference in the surface area between the tympanic membrane and the oval window over here. Okay, so because the tympanic membrane is larger, what it does is, as the sound travels through it, when it reaches the oval window, the difference in surface area causes the pressure to become greater, which increases, results in an increase of about 25 decibels. Now, there are a couple other factors, such as the difference in the length between the manubrium and the stapes, which accounts for an additional 2 decibels. And then the buckling of the tympanic membrane also accounts for about another 4 to 6 decibels. Yes, and then another thing to note is the eustachian, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the eustachian tube. This goes from the middle ear space to the nasopharynx and is responsible for aerating the middle ear. Okay, so here we are. Now the energy has reached the oval window, okay, and the oval window is part of the inner ear. Now the inner ear as a whole is responsible for completing spectral and temporal analysis of incoming signal. Okay, so as the oval window moves back and forth due to the incoming energy, it compresses the fluid of the scala vestibuli, which is in the cochlea, which then causes the basilar membrane within the cochlea to be displaced. Okay, so here we have the cochlea. Another thing to note is the semicircular canals, okay, which are attached to the cochlea. They're canals which are filled with fluid, and they function primarily as the input serving one's sense of their spatial movement and location. So that helps us recognize where we are in relation to other people or objects, and it also helps with our sense of balance a little bit. Now, we did talk about that there is fluid within both the semicircular canals and the cochlea, so the movement from mechanical energy of the oval window into the fluid results in a change from mechanical to hydromechanical energy. Okay, now, as the fluid in the scala vestibuli is displaced, it also causes the basilar membrane, which is a small membrane actually inside of the cochlea, and it separates the scala media from the scala tympani, and the vibrations of the basilar membrane create something called a traveling wave. Now, the traveling wave in turn causes excitation of cilia of the hair cells and displaces them relative to the tectoral membrane. So all of this is going on within the cochlea, and it is directly related to the movement of the basilar membrane. So the shearing action between the cilia on the hair cells, on both the inner and outer hair cells of the basilar membrane, they open up like a trapdoor channel, and the endolymph, which is a potassium and calcium rich fluid inside the cochlea, which surrounds the hair cells. And when these trapdoor opens, it allows the potassium and calcium to interact with one another and with the hair cells, and this causes a release of neurotransmitters, which creates action potentials within the afferents of the 8th cranial nerve. Okay, and the interaction of potassium and calcium and the subsequent release of neurotransmitters, which all happens within the cochlea, changes the energy to its final electrochemical form. Now, the electrochemical neurotransmitters and energy is then sent through the auditory nerve, which is also the 8th cranial nerve, and it is then further, information is further extracted by systems such as the cochlear nucleus and superior olivary complex, and is then sent to other parts of the brain for further analysis and decoding. Yes, so that's pretty much how energy is transformed throughout the ear. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.